Welcome to page 2 of lesson 6.3. I've started it already. What happens to a vector when it's multiplied by 1 over, and remember when we put the absolute value signs on a vector, it means the magnitude, the size of the vector. So what happens to vector x when it's multiplied by 1 over the magnitude of x? And I've done an example here. Here's a vector x. It's got size and direction, multiplied by 1 over its magnitude. So its magnitude is 7. And 7 meters per second times 1 over 7 gives me 1 meter north. Well, what happens? Well, this 7 is always going to cancel this 7 and give you 1. When a vector is multiplied by 1 over its magnitude, it will always have magnitude 1. It will always give a unit vector as the answer. Because you're multiplying by the reciprocal of the magnitude, your answer is always going to be 1 unit long. So this question here, I've written down what I was given. Here's unit U, it's 4 units long. Here's unit V, it's 5 units long. And the angle between them, when they are tail to tail, is 120. And now it asks me to find a unit vector in the same direction as U plus V. So I need to add those two vectors. So I'm going to draw them head to tail so that I'm adding them. So here goes vector U, like so. Here goes vector V, like that, and here's vector U plus V. So I'm going to answer this question two different ways. Now, which angle in this triangle do I know? Well, I know if I continued U like that, this angle is 120. The question told me that. So this angle here is 60. Okay, and I know this side is 5 units long, and I know this side is 4 units long, so this is a cosine law question. So I can find the magnitude of U plus V squared is equal to 4 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 A, B, cos C. Put that in my calculator. I get 21. And I get the magnitude of U plus V is root 21. Now, two ways I can answer this question. I need a size and I need a direction. Well, the size of my answer, the question said find a unit vector. So my answer is going to be 1. The question said find a unit vector. So it's asking me to find a vector that is 1 unit in this direction. So my answer is going to be 1 unit long. But what direction is it going to be? Well, that's a little complicated, a little more complicated. What's root 21? Let's see here. Square root of 21 is 4.58, roughly. Not that I need that, because it's not part of the answer. But if I'm going to give a direction for my answer, then I'm going to need to solve this triangle. And to avoid the ambiguous case of the sine law, I'm going to call that angle up there theta. It's not the angle I want, but I'm going to look for it. And I'm going to say sine theta over 4 is equal to sine 60 over root 21. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2 answers, but I know it's going to be a quadrant 1 answer because theta has to be less than 60 because 4 is less than root 21. So sine theta is equal to 4 sine 60 over root 21. That goes in my calculator. That's 0.7559. And theta is sine inverse of that. 49.1 degrees. But I want alpha, which is 180 minus 60 minus 49.1. And I get 70.89, 70.9. So I could say that the answer to this question is 1 unit, 70.9 degrees off vector u. Now, the other way you could answer this question would be to say that it's asking me to find a unit vector parallel to u plus v. So it's going to be u plus v times 1 over the magnitude of u plus v. So it's going to be 1 over root 21 times u plus v. And you could distribute that and say it's 1 over root 21 u plus 1 over root 21 v. And that would be the same answer. And so that's what that's saying is you could look at this thing and say that purple vector that I've drawn is some fraction of u plus some fraction of v. And that would also be a way of expressing it. So that's 2 ways to answer question 3. And that's lesson 6.3.